I like to interact with my clients first by getting to know them. I like to get to know them. I like to relate to them. I like to understand where they're coming from because if I can understand where they're coming from, then I can understand how best to do whatever it is they're asking me to do. I believe the biggest challenge in the L&E space is keeping up with it all. Our politics have been such that the federal government has not been doing much with federal laws relating to employment, but the states have filled in. And so if you're an employer, depending upon where you have operations, and especially now, depending upon where you have employees and where they're actually sitting, you're dealing with a whole bunch of different laws and they're changing all the time and they might be going one way in one place and another way in another place. I think the other challenge, frankly, is the internet because the internet makes everybody an expert. The reason I think any client would be well served to engage GT, there's a lot of focus on the client. They ask us to help them deal with an issue, but it's their issue. And so it's not just what we can do, it's what we can do based upon how they define success. My passion is getting to the win-win. My practice is really focused most on the difficult issues that you find in labor and employment law. So I do a lot of union negotiations, I do a lot of labor relations, I deal with a lot of dynamics involving making sure that labor relations stay positive and that conflicts are hopefully resolved in the best possible way for the client. I spend a lot of time with clients who have affirmative action obligations because they're federal contractors. I spend a lot of time trying to make sure that we're reconciling how they do affirmative action with how they're also doing diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is very important. That can be a challenge sometimes, even internally at a client. And of course, I get involved when there is an agency staring them down, either because a complaint got made or because there is a problem with some employee that is playing itself out in an agency. If an employee ends up having an attorney, I'll get involved in that up to the point where I'm trying to avoid litigation. But if I can't get the attorney to lose interest and can't get the matter resolved, that's where great colleagues at GT on the litigation side can also step in. I believe my own personal greatest strength is that I know how to listen. And so I always lead with listening. Very often I will ask a client before we even start getting into all the law, if there was no law here, if you didn't feel a need to call me, what would you want to do? My mantra is, if you're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it with the law, we're gonna do it with the dynamics, we're gonna do it with what's important to them and get it done right.